When the engine screams louder than your heart, you're either alive or so close to dying you can't tell the difference. Neon drips off the broken windows like chemical rain, slicking the puddles into electric pools. The old industrial district is a skeleton of rust and scaffolds, ribs of iron curled against a night sky that tastes like wet asphalt and exhaust. The crowd is all teeth and leather and hungry grins. Alphas prowling, betas bartering, omegas ghosting through like smoke. The air is thick with octane, heat, and the restless shift of wolves trying to look human. I sit behind the wheel and let the idle tremble up my arms, a purr that turns into a growl when I lay my palm on the shifter. The car isn't expensive, just rebuilt, stitched together from junkyard prayers and sleepless weeks. She runs like sin and mercy and the kind of luck you only have if you forget you might die. Speed doesn't lie. People do. Clans do. Promises do. Clans love to call their packs a home. I call them cages on wheels. Rank and ritual. The line at your throat that decides who eats and who kneels. I've spent years making sure nothing wraps around my neck but wind. I'm not from their world. I just drive faster than the world can catch me. Someone slaps the hood, dragging me back. Tal. Kai's voice is a wedge of laughter, a spark in gasoline air. He's a grease-stained beta with fox-quick hands and a talent for turning curses into compliments. You hear the rumor? I try not to. I scan the crush of bodies gathering along the painted start line, eyes skimming faces half lit in neon and half bitten by shadow. Leo's here. Kai's grin flicks sharp. With half the silver roads at his back, my pulse ticks. Not fear, not exactly. Curiosity with teeth. He owns these streets, I say, mock grave. And the sky. And probably the weather. Don't forget the port and 3 judges. Kai thumps the roof. Don't let him own your lungs. Too late. I smile, a sideways thing. I already pawned those for premium fuel. He snorts, stepping back as the rope goes up and the crowd ripples. Phones lift. Wolf eyes glow faintly in the dark. The smell shifts, sweat and metallic sweetness, adrenaline blooming like cut citrus. And underneath it, something clean and cold slides through the heat. Metal and mint. He comes like a line drawn with a ruler through a messy landscape. Straight, intentional, unbothered. The car he steps out of is all smooth arrogance and quiet threat, a machine polished to mirror the moon. Security spreads around him like obedient shadows. Heads tilt, backs straighten. Space, like water, makes way for the largest ship. Except where I'm parked. His gaze finds me in the clutter, and for a heartbeat, I feel weighed and measured. He doesn't smirk. He doesn't need to. The air tightens around him, temperature dropping 2 degrees toward winter. Tal, Kai says, as if I've forgotten my name. Maybe consider second place. Like, as a fun new life choice. First is a habit. I pop the door and step into the night. The wind tugs damp hair into my eyes. I push it back and meet the alpha's approach with a tilt of my head. Up close, Leo smells like machine shops at dawn and breath-striped gum, clean and dangerous. No cologne could mimic the iron-cool bite. His scent is the shape of restraint. His eyes aren't a color so much as a pressure. I feel them the way you feel a storm. New blood. Someone mutters behind him. No pack. Stupid brave. Or brave stupid. Another corrects. I offer Leo a polite nothing of a smile. Nice evening for an audit. Of your driving, he says, voice even enough to level a table. And my patience. Good thing I'm quick. His gaze slides to my hood, to the imperfect welds that hide perfect balance. You built her, piece by stolen piece. He almost smiles. Almost. Then he nods once to the flagger posted at the line. The crowd shuffles into position. Insurance waivers no one signed, drifting like ghosts underfoot. I climb back in, breath fogging once on the chilled air, then gone. The engine answers my foot like a rumor confirmed. On his mark, we roll forward, tires kissing the chalk. Neon hisses. The bridge will slice under coughs up echoes. I curl my fingers around the wheel, each knuckle a tight star. My mouth fills with the taste of rain. My skin prickles. a premonition along the spine. When the flag drops, everything else does too. The crowd, the downtown skyline, even memory. We launch. The first straight is a throat, and I am a shout. My car surges, turbo whistling like a dare. Leo holds alongside, calm as a metronome, his machine a gliding blade. We pass the warehouse where they say 3 packs fused into one and then devoured themselves. We plunge into a tunnel of shadow, puddles exploding under us, spray biting the air to glitter. My pheromones run hot with the engine. I can feel it. Edges loosening. That odd fracture in the night like I'm riding on it with smoke. It slithers in my wake, a gray ribbon that wolves behind us sniff and murmur at. Rare, I've been told. Dangerous, when I care enough. I shouldn't care. But I do. Leo inches ahead on the outside line, claiming space like a signature. I slide tighter, paint to paint, and we hold it there, breath for breath, heartbeat for heartbeat, until the turn opens. Risk isn't a coin toss. It's math with a grudge. I've done it in my head 100 times. The gap is a lie you can fit a miracle through. I take it. The car shivers, rear loosening, then catching. We brush, mirror to mirror, a kiss that is more threat than affection. He doesn't flinch. I smile because I do. For a second I see us reflected in a rain-black window, 2 streaks of light, one silver, one feral. The road splits around a jackknifed truck left as decoration by whoever organized this circus. Leo lifts a fraction. I don't. My tires scream a protest that sounds like joy. The world narrows to a white line, and the smear of him in my peripheral vision. I pass. A roar from the crowd slams the air like a wave hitting pilings. Some jeer. Some howl. I hear my name stretched by strangers' mouths, until it's only a sound. Tal, tal, tal. We knife through the last stretch, the finish a ribbon of reflected neon. I take it first. By inches. By the part of a second that splits past and future. Kai is yelling somewhere. My hands shake as the engine idles back into the reel. The car smells like hot metal, and victory trying to be modest. I kill the ignition, and the silence rushes in like a tide. Breathing makes noise now. My chest rises too fast. The thrill leaves a tremor under the skin. An aftershock that has nothing to do with fear. I won. I should leave. I don't. The crowd is a many-headed animal already turning toward the next calamity, but enough eyes still hook into me to make a net. I open the door and step out, joints popping as if they've been holding the world's weight. The smoke that always follows me curls in the damp, a faint wolfish silhouette dissolving against a brick wall. Someone gasps. Someone else lights a cigarette to excuse their interest. Move. A voice with gravity. People. Do. Leo walks toward me through a lane imposed by his existence. The alpha aura is a kind of weather, and I've spent most of my life outmaneuvering forecasts. He stops at arm's length. Up close, that mint metal scent is stronger, flecked with something warmer now. Something like heat on chrome. Congratulations, he says, and it almost sounds like the word means what it should. Thank you. I cock my head. I'll put it on the shelf with all the other threats. That wasn't a threat. I'm sure the next part will be. His mouth barely ticks. He looks past me at the finish line, then back, and steps in so the industrial noise drops out. It's only his breath and mine, the soft hiss of the city's lungs somewhere far. You don't know what you just did, he says, quiet and smooth, as if he's setting a knife on a table rather than pointing it. On the contrary, I meet his gaze until I feel the weight of it anchor in my sternum. For once, I know exactly. For a heartbeat, something moves in his eyes. Curiosity with a crack in it, a seam leaking heat. His aura brushes my skin, wolf to wolf, instinct sparking like static off a wool sweater. You're sent, he says. More to himself than to me, and the words send a thin electric line along my nerves. Smoke and rain. You should bottle it, I say lightly, though my throat has gone dry. Sell it to people who want to make bad decisions. His hand comes up, slow, telegraphed, until his fingers rest beside my head on the wall, not touching me, but caging the air I'm breathing. He isn't crowding. He's measuring how much I'll take before the taking becomes something else. The halo of mint deepens, metallic sweet. He's very close, close enough that if I leaned, we'd collide. I don't lean. I let the space tremble. The alley narrows into a private place. The roar of the races fades into a hum. My pulse is drums on a dock, restless and reckless. I expected fury, I say. At least some offense on behalf of your reputation. Offense is for people who need permission to act. He studies my mouth like it's a puzzle that might solve him. I remember better with desire. I huff a laugh that cost me nothing and everything. How convenient for you. His eyes flick to the faint ribbon of smoke lifting off my shoulder where my pheromones run hottest when I'm not lying. To anyone, least of all myself. A lot of alphas mistake it for theatrics. The smart ones know better. He's smart. We hang there, a geometry problem with two bodies and too many answers. The want between us is not gentle. It's a blade pulled from oil, gleaming. If I take it, it will cut. If I refuse it, it will cut anyway. His fingers flex against brick. His voice lowers, not a threat, not a promise, simply the truth shaped for the one person who needs to hear it. If I find you again, Leo says, I won't let you go. It lands in my chest with the weight of a future. My mouth remembers how to curve. I step under his arm, the briefest brush of shoulders, and the contact skates fire under my skin. He doesn't stop me. Then don't, I say, already walking, already choosing the direction that isn't safe. Try. My hands are trembling when I reach the car. Adrenaline is a tide turning over rocks, showing what clings underneath. I slide in, shut the door, and look once in the rear view. He's still there, winter sure, mint cold, a hunter with his leash in his own fist. The alley seems to bend around him, light drawn to his edges. I start the engine. Smoke ghosts from the cracked window, a thin wolf licking the damp air before it dissolves. Behind me, the night inhales. Ahead, the city opens like a race I can't help but enter again. And in the space between, just long enough to be a vow, there's the heat of his words. The clean cut of them, the promise of a chase that already smells like rain. He doesn't hunt, he studies, as if every time he's checking whether I exist at all. Days fold like flyers tucked under a windshield wiper. Every time I peel one up, Leo's name is printed on the back in small, immaculate letters. He's not always there, but he's always almost there. The too-cold drink ring left on a metal table, the mint thread of his scent braided through a crowd, the feeling of weather deciding between rain and snow. The city helps him. It's a labyrinth that likes its monsters. Neon clubs first. Their doors breathe out heat and sugar, bodies stacked like faulty scaffolding. DJs stitch 4 a.m. to 5 a.m., with a bass line that conceals almost anything even. The moment a wolf slides through the press of dancers, like a hand through water. I'm a rumor at the edge of a cage of light, a shadow with a grin, a smoke ribbon curling through shoulders and lifted wrists. My pheromones catch in the strobes and make shapes, little hallucinations in the corner of the eye. Someone laughs nervously, someone else follows me without meaning to. Tal. Kai's voice buzzes my left ear, tinny through a borrowed earpiece. He's stationed 2 blocks away, in the van we definitely purchased legally. Heads up. Winter's coming. Funny, I say, weaving toward the bar. He told me last night he wasn't a threat. He's an alpha. They think weather is a hobby. Behind me, the music thins for a second, like it's listening. The air turns crisp. I don't need to look to know he's at the threshold. The club's color temperature always dips when Leo steps inside, a trick of your skin remembering shade. I tilt my head back to drink water, because dehydration is a good way to die pretty, and find him in the mirror behind the bottles. His reflection is clear even through the smear of someone's fingerprints. Suit like liquid, eyes like an agenda. The silver along his throat, half hidden by a collar, a scythe of a scar or a mark, flickers, faintly as if a light underneath it flares at the exact frequency of my breath. He moves through the crowd without touching anyone. The crowd parts anyway. I stay where I am. Running isn't always the right first move. Sometimes you let the storm measure you and pretend you don't mind getting wet. Why are you here again? I ask when he's close enough that his scent rewrites the room. Metal and mint over sweat and gin. To be sure, the smoke hasn't blown away, he says, like it's the simplest answer in the world. His gaze dips to my throat, where the air runs hottest. Then up. It hasn't. I could sell tickets to this show, I say, dry. Alpha observes wild Omega in his natural habitat. His mouth turns, a secret almost smile. You enjoy being watched. I enjoy choosing who gets to. We stand there a heartbeat too long, a geometry problem disguised as banter. The silver at his neck pulses again, subtle as a blink. He feels it too. His eyes shudder then reopen, his control hitching 1 visible millimeter. Tal, Kai whispers. Stairwell behind you, blue door. I warmed the bike. Try not to get dramatically kissed unless you really mean it. No promises, I murmur. And pivot. Leo doesn't block me. He walks beside me to the edge of the dance floor like a patient tide. Are we doing this forever? He asks. Voice sliding under the music like a cool river under heat. What, the part where you stalk and I sparkle? The part where you pretend this is only a game? I swallow a laugh. It scratches going down. Who said I was pretending? I take the blue door. On the roof, the city is a bowl of burned sugar, glitter, and bruise. Air moves like it has something to say. I sit on the ledge, legs hanging into nothing, and let the smoke bleed off my shoulders in lazy curls that sketch a lupine outline before the wind eats it. Leo arrives a minute later, not out of breath, which is annoying on principle. You always find me, I say, without looking. Do you have a map of my bad decisions? I follow the part of the air that doesn't behave. He comes to stand beside me, not crowding, not caging, simply present. You leave a line others can't read. You talk like a scientist. You drive like a hypothesis. Down on the street, a siren wails, and then forgets why it started. Up here, Leo's scent is sharper, uncut by humanity. The mark at his throat glimmers again, a fish's belly in moonlight, then dims. What is that? I ask, curious, despite myself. He touches it lightly, a touch you'd give a trigger or a bruise, a memory that doesn't know when to stop. The wind lifts the edge of my shirt, my skin pebbles where the air kisses it. He feels the shift. Alpha instincts aren't poetry, they're physics. He offers me his jacket without speaking. I accept, because I'm not allergic to warmth. The fabric carries him, clean, patient, hunger with manners. I'm not your chase, I say into the collar. I'm my own momentum. I know, he says. And something like pride threads his tone. That's why you're interesting, dangerous adjective, I say, standing. I prefer unavailable. He looks at me, all winter and precision. To whom? In general, I say, and swing off the ledge to the fire escape, boots clanging. Try to keep up. I don't wait to see if he smiles. I don't need to. My body knows when his body moves because the air tells it. We become a brief chase scene between roofs, leaps on gravel, palms on parapets, laughter bitten off by effort. The city under us exhales steam like a sleeping beast. I cut left, drop twice, shoulder through a service door and fall into the spine of an old building, humming with fluorescent boredom. An hour later, a different night, a different venue, a garage with ribs of rebar and shadows like animal dens. My car's hood is up, the engine purring in contentment as Kai tunes something only he can hear. If you die, he says, not looking up, I want the car. And your boots, I'm not going to die. I hand him a tool he didn't ask for. But that's a sweet eulogy. He grins, grease bright on his cheekbone. If you do, I expect at least a decent payout from the betting ring. Don't disrespect me by going cheap. Your loyalty is touching. I save my loyalty for carburetors. People break. He wipes his hands. Speaking of break, Mira's here. Mira slides out of the dark like a verdict. She's an alpha of a different breed, camera around her neck, cigarette tucked behind her ear, eyes sharp enough to edit the world. The scent she trails is quiet power and night coffee. Boys, she says, like the word is a diagnosis, then fixes me with a look that takes apart my posture, my heartbeat, my tells. You don't understand what you've stepped into. I rarely do, I say brightly. It keeps me young. Leo doesn't chase, she says, lighting the cigarette with a match that scratches the air. Smoke from tobacco meets the smoke that curls off my shoulder. They consider each other. He tames. Great, Kai says. Can he start with Tal's hair? Mira ignores him. You think this is a race because the road is shaped like a line. It's a cage, Tal, and you're charming it into closing. He's not angry. He's curious. Curiosity is the most patient cruelty. He let me go, I say. For now. Her camera clicks once like a warning shot. When he stops, it'll sound like silence, and you'll think you caused it. That's how they keep you. I'm not kept, I say, soft enough to almost convince myself. I just haven't left. She looks at me a long time, then at the car, then at Kai, who offers her a rag like a peace treaty. She refuses it with a tilt of her wrist. Be careful which part of yourself you offer the city, she says, and disappears back into the dark. We manage 3 more days of almosts, an alley where I duck and he's, suddenly wall, a streetlight where he waits and the lamp hums a lower note. While we talk about nothing and everything, a crosswalk where our hands don't touch, but the space between them changes flavor. Each time that silver along his neck registers me, faint, insistent, like an old song a radio keeps trying to find. By the 4th night, the city is a body that wants a climax. The club is called Kiln, a heat trap cut into the river's side. Inside, light curves like pottery, everything glowing from within. The music is so loud it shakes choices loose. I'm sweating in a crowd that worships sweat when I feel the air shift. It goes mint, then metal, then Leo. He doesn't bother with the perimeter. He comes straight for me like he's done calculating detours. I turn just enough to glance off him as we pass, which is a bad idea for my nerves and a worse one for my heart. His fingers catch my wrist. Not hard, not gentle, exactly the amount that says he knows where my bones are and plans to keep them as they are. The pheromones spike. I hear someone behind us gasp like they just remembered a heartbreak they forgot to feel. The smoke at my skin blooms, visible even under club lights, soft wolf lines in the strobe, jaws parting on nothing. Why do you keep running? He asks, leaning close so his words don't have to fight the sound. Because you don't know how to breathe without power, I say. And it's too honest, too fast. The silver at his throat jumps like a pulse under a fingertip. His eyes close once, open. It's not anger that moves through his face. It's something like acceptance of an equation coming to its inevitable sum. He kisses me. It's not slow. It's not sweet. It's a clean cut, metal tasting the mouth of mint. The world snaps white. The crowd drops away as if the music swallowed them. Heat lances through my ribs, and I feel it where I hate to feel things. Behind my knees at the hinge of my jaw, in the hollow where breath goes to become words. The smoke pours up around our faces like a veil tugged over 2 sinners at the altar. He breaks it first, not because he wants to, but because control is his religion. His hands stay on my wrists, like he doesn't trust the air with me. I lean in because I am either kind or cruel, and press my mouth to the corner of his, the promise of another cut. Now you won't forget my scent, I whisper, every letter a fingerprint in his ear. Then I turn out of his grip and vanish, through heat, through light, through a door that thinks it's a mouth. The night outside inhales me whole. Tires squeal 2 blocks over where Kai has the bike idling impatiently. I run, and the city runs with me, our breaths stitched together, my smoke trailing behind like a road I built just to watch him follow. The warehouse sits at the edge of the city like a half-forgotten thought, its windows blind with dust. Inside, the air hums with the soft mechanical heartbeat of engines asleep and dreaming. The light is amber from old lamps, washing over scattered tools, the tang of oil, and the thin ghost of smoke that never quite leaves me. It smells like work, like purpose, like home, if I ever had one. Kai is perched on a workbench, cigarette unlit, chewing it out of habit. He's watching me with that mix of fondness and exasperation that says he's about to call me an idiot. He's usually right. All right, I say, rolling the blueprint over the hood of the car. Lines, arrows, and notes scrawl across it in my cramped handwriting. An anatomy of revenge disguised as a plan. This is the hub. Silver Road's main data vault. Every transaction, every bribe, every trace of what they've built. It's there. Kai whistles low. You're planning to take down an entire clan's database? You've officially graduated from reckless to suicidal. I'm not running anymore, I answer, tracing a circle on the map. I'm just giving back what they've given me. Which is everything they stole. My voice cracks around it. But I keep going. My crew, my track, my life. Kai leans forward, elbows on knees. You keep saying you're not running, but every time you look over your shoulder, you're checking for him. I look up sharply. Leo's got nothing to do with this. Sure. He grins, teeth flashing, and engines run on honesty. Before I can retort, a shadow slides over the windows, long and deliberate. I know that stance before my brain catches up. It's not danger. It's inevitability. He's here, Kai mutters, already reaching for a wrench that's less a weapon than a statement. Put it down, I say quietly. He doesn't come armed. Kai's eyebrows rise. How reassuring. The side door creaks open, and Leo steps in like the night sent him as an envoy. No guards, no entourage, just him, all black coat and calm edges, the chill of city glass still clinging to him. His scent folds through the room, cold metal softened by mint and something darker beneath, like a storm still deciding whether to break. You're predictable, he says after a moment, eyes scanning the mess of plans, tools, and spilled adrenaline. You choose places that pretend to be safe. I choose places with exits, I reply, crossing my arms. You'd hate it here. It smells like independence. He steps closer, slow, deliberate. You hiding? I'm resting from your face. A flicker at the corner of his mouth. Not quite a smile. You say that like you don't see it every time you close your eyes. Don't flatter yourself, I shoot back. But it lands weaker than I mean it to. His presence fills the room too easily, like gravity that remembers me. Kai clears his throat loudly. I'm just gonna check on that thing in the back that doesn't exist. He disappears, leaving us with the hum of machines and too much air. Leo circles the car, fingertips trailing over the hood as if reading its pulse. You built this yourself? Piece by stolen piece. I echo my own words from that first night. Everything worth having is stolen. He glances at me, something sharp in his expression. Freedom included? The word sits between us. Heavy. Freedom's not stolen, I say. It's taken back. He stops, facing me fully now. Freedom without a goal, he says slowly, is just another cage. A bigger one maybe, but empty. The words hit harder than I expect. Maybe because they sound like something I would have said once. You'd know about cages, I murmur. You live in one. Polished. Climate-controlled. He takes another step, close enough that I feel the cold edge of his energy. And you? You live in motion. You mistake speed for escape. I mistake stillness for death. Silence folds in. His eyes darken. Not from anger, something more dangerous. Understanding. Race me, he says suddenly. I blink. Excuse me? One-on-one. No audience. No stakes except what we decide. His tone doesn't rise, but it carries weight like a key sliding into a lock. If you lose, you're mine. And if I win, I'll let you go. I laugh softly. Let me. You're very sure of your ownership. I'm very sure of the odds, he answers. And of you. There's the trap. Glittering like a mirage. I see it, name it, and walk toward it anyway. Fine, I say. But you'll regret giving me open roads. His eyes flicker silver, that telltale shimmer under the skin. The mark at his throat glows faintly in the warehouse light. We'll see. For a moment, neither of us moves. The air hums like a live wire, pheromones weaving through the oil and dust until the space trembles with it. My pulse trips, matching his in a rhythm I don't consent to. His pupils dilate. Mine mirror the motion. Instinct answers instinct, body to body. And something in me wants to lean closer, just to see what happens if we stop pretending this isn't a chemical war. You're afraid, I say before I can stop myself. He tilts his head, curious. Of losing? Of remembering, I whisper. Because once you do, you can't unsmell me. His jaw tightens, and I know I've hit something true. For a heartbeat, the room feels too small for what's between us. Then he turns away, breaking the line. Tomorrow night, he says, voice back to steel. At the docks. Bring that car you built out of spite. And if I don't show? He pauses at the door, not looking back. You will. When he's gone, the air stays sharp for a while, like he left part of himself behind just to remind me what pressure feels like. Kai reappears from the shadows, munching on a bag of chips that definitely wasn't there before. So, he says between bites, you agreed to race the guy who could buy the moon just to prove a point? It's not about proving anything. He gestures with the chip. You're shaking. I glance down. My hands aren't steady. I shove them into my pockets. Adrenaline. He grins. You're already screwed. Why? Because you're worried about him, not the race. He leans against the car, watching me with lazy amusement. That's how it starts. You start counting heartbeats instead of gears. Maybe I just like a challenge. You like disasters that wear good cologne. He's not wrong. That night, I don't sleep. I lie under the flickering light, staring at the ceiling while the wind claws at the rusted panels. The scent of metal and mint still lingers in my lungs, faint but impossible to exhale. My thoughts loop like a racetrack, his voice, his eyes, the impossible steadiness of him against my chaos. Every race begins with a false start, but I have a feeling this one's going to end with something worse. A finish line I won't want to cross. Rain needles the bay in slanted lines, the kind that turn streetlights into smeared halos and make the world feel underwater. The highway runs along the black lip of the city, a ribbon of asphalt glossed. In slick sheen, shoulders guarded by warehouse silhouettes and prowling cranes. Neon from the port stacks itself in the puddles. Pink, acid blue, bruise purple. So the wet ground looks like stained glass shattered and rearranged. My engine idles like a restless animal. Leo's hums with the restraint of a blade still in its sheath. We sit side by side at the invisible start line. Two quiet hearts about to become sirens. No crowd, no phones, just the rain and the ocean and the kind of silence that makes a promise. He turns his head. I feel it more than see it. Even in the dark, his eyes register as pressure, an adjustment the night makes to accommodate him. The silver along his throat is mostly covered, but I know where it lives. I know how it flickers. I hate that I know. Ready? He asks, voice clean enough to drink. Always, I lie. We don't count down. We simply go, simultaneous, like a thought splitting in two. The road opens like a throat. My car leaps, turbo singing, wipers slashing time into manageable strips. Leo's machine is a ghost on the water slick, gliding, barely splashing. We drop under the first overpass and the rain becomes a roar on concrete, then a hiss again when we're spit back out. The bay breathes beside us, salt and cold and the memory of depths. We run. In my head, the camera pulls back and tilts, giving us the manhwa angle. Two streaks of light knifing along a black ribbon, spray fanning. Every time we pass a warehouse with its neon numbers, the color flashes across our hoods, painting us temporary. The smoke from me is faint in the storm, but still there, a gray undercurrent. Threading the turbulence, a signature only one of us can fully read. I glance. Leo is there, exactly where a rival should be if he's planning to pass, but he doesn't yet. He matches. He studies. He is the equation and the answer, and the patience in between. Adrenaline unlaces my ribs. Oddly, peace follows. It sits in my throat like a coin. Maybe I do want him to catch me. The thought arrives without a coat, bare and shivering and undeniable. We hit a gentle bend that lies about being gentle. I take it tight, letting the rear dream a little before I call it back. Leo widens, letting his stability control take a breath. Side by side, our reflections distort in the long black mirror of the road. The city's light strobes us, as if time can't decide which version it wants to keep. The emptiness ahead is a dare. Rain deepens. Tires speak in tongues. My fingers are bone on leather. Tal. Kai's voice would say, if he were on comms, remember math. But Kai isn't here. There is only me, and the line, and the animal attention at my back that has become a second horizon. We open the throttle. Speed tips the world. Leo edges, offering me the outside. It's the slower line. He knows I know. I cut inside, teeth bared at the physics of it, and for a second I see our windows almost kiss. If I touch him now, it will feel like confession. I don't. I let the want be a shout inside my chest and translate it into motion. He lets me through. He lets me through. I don't register it as mercy. Not yet. Not when the rain is knives and the road is a ribbon I can play like a viol. But some small, traitorous part of me feels the give and brands it. Choice. Neon blurs into superstition. The docks loom after another bend. Cranes hunched like parents at a school play. There's a truck ahead, stalled or abandoned, hazard lights coughing. It takes up 1.5 lanes, badly parked apocalypse. My brain takes a picture, draws the paths. There's space if I turn into it, like a prayer you have to shout. I go. The rear slips. Too much water. Too little weight where I need it. The car tilts into a new language and stops translating. I counter-steer. The wheel goes light in my hands for one sick instant. A handshake withdrawn. Then the world is sound. Metal screams like a wounded god. Light detonates white against my eyes. Heat lunges up through the floor. The smell is brake pads gone to hell. Rubber writing its will across the road. The copper penny shock of blood finding air. There's a voice too. A human one. Low and intimate. And nothing I can parse until my body registers that it's my own. Impact folds me. Seatbelt bites bone. Something in the dashboard explodes into flowers of plastic. Then fire. Time tears. The last clear image is rain flicking through the broken windshield like 1,000 small truths. Then hands. They are not the hands of a stranger. They are winter-taught and unshakable. And they know exactly where to touch to move me without breaking what's breakable. The door protests and then becomes not a door. The world outside rushes in, wet and enormous, and he is there, Leo, face, lit by flame and rain, expression like a command given to reality. Tal. The sound of my name from him arranges the pieces of me with more confidence than my bones currently have. Look at me. I try. My head is a theater with bad seating. Focus skids, then locks on the silver at his throat. It flickers like an alarm discovered, like a lighthouse reconsidering the shore. Do not close your eyes. His voice is calm. An operating room where no one panics, because panic is for people who haven't rehearsed the disaster. Bossy. I rasp. The smoke leaking from my skin thickens, reacting to his proximity, to the heat, to the way pain turns my body into a flare. It rises between us, a breath made visible, and when his hands slide under my arms to pull, our skin touches and something ignites. The air seizes. It's a flash, not of light but of recognition, a shockwave along scent and nerve. The space around us claps with it. The rain feels momentarily like glass. It's as if our pheromones find a lock and shove a key inside, turn it, and see if the door swings open. For a heartbeat, a shape glows at the edge of vision. 2 marks that are not marks. 2 wolves that are not wolves, boundaries trying to redraw themselves. The world inhales. The world changes its mind. The illusion snaps like a wire pulled too tight. We're back in the wet and the fire, and the metallic chorus of approaching sirens. But I feel it. He feels it. In the way his breath stutters once, in the way mine stumbles after. Up, Leo says, and the word is a floor appearing under my feet. We stagger away as my poor car shrieks and sighs, flames guttering in the rain. He half carries me, and I let him. Because the strength is there, and because my body has a list of short-term priorities, and pride is not above the fold. We find the shelter of a shipping container's lip. My knees fold. The night smells like scorched luck. Leo's jacket comes around me, weight and mint and machine, and it is ridiculous. That a scent can be first aid, and yet my lungs say thank you. The world tilts. The edges blur. He is hands and voice. I knew you'd destroy me, he says, and his mouth shapes the words like he's telling a prayer a new ending. I just didn't think it would be this fast. I would laugh if laughing didn't feel like a poor choice for a ribcage currently negotiating terms. Instead, I let my head thud against him once. A punctuation mark. You should have read the fine print, I manage. And then the night slides sideways and drops me into soft black. I surface to antiseptic and the hush of money. The hospital room is a study in expensive quiet, walls the color of a concession, machines muttering to themselves, lights softened, until it apologizes for existing. My mouth is chalk, my hands are bandaged. My body is a collection of outlines someone forgot to color in. And Leo is in the chair beside the bed, coat off, sleeves rolled, tie undone like a truce. He sits like someone who doesn't need to prove he's sitting. His head is bowed over his hands, and for a wild second I think he might be praying to a god neither of us believes in. I clear my throat and the room flinches. His head lifts. The relief that slices across his face is so naked I have to look away out of instinctive decency. When I look back, the mask has closed, but not all the way. He is winter, yes, but the leaf litter of a thaw is visible around the edges. You're awake, he says. In case I missed it, I am, I say, because I'm helpful. This must be what not dying feels like. Messier, usually. He sits forward, not too close. He is learning the geometry of me. How do you feel? Like my bones need subtitles. I shift. Pain complains, but not in a language I can't survive. My car? He pauses the length of a truth. Gone. I swallow. The grief is small and fierce, and mine. She was better than most people. She was, he agrees softly, and the tenderness in it is almost enough to make me forgive him for existing. We exist in the kind of quiet that has content. The rain still licks the windows, slower now. My smoke is absent, suppressed by sterile air and whatever they fed my veins. Without it, the room feels too honest. He is the one who breaks gently. I had a partner, he says. The words are laid down like tools, one by one. Years ago, we raced together. He was faster than anyone and brave enough to mistake that for invincibility. A pause. His jaw works once. He died on a turn that taught me how to be careful with what I love. The air tilts. The sentence finishes itself inside my chest, where it has no business finishing anything. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd trapped. Since then, I say, because the human brain likes conclusions, you only race ghosts. He doesn't smile. He doesn't look away. Since then, he says, I haven't had to remember anyone new. Congratulations, I say, dry as the bed rail. Now you have a new ghost. Something in his face shifts. Humor, pain, acceptance. The decision to let them share a table. I was hoping for something more troublesome than a ghost. You got me, I say. Trouble is the only thing I am consistently. He exhales, a sound so quiet it could be mistaken for the room settling. The silver at his throat is still, but I can almost feel it stirring under the skin, the way a scar warms in certain weather. Why did you let me pass? I ask, because silence is a hall where questions echo, and I've never liked echoes. His eyes find mine and hold. Because finishing first without you there would have felt like losing. The sentence lands and sits and refuses to move. I have no pocket to put it in. I don't know if I want one. I don't belong to you, I say, the words not a warning so much as a map. I know, he answers. And there's that thread of pride again. That's why I'm here. Guarding the bed like a wolf with manners. Making sure you wake up. Gallows humor wanders through and takes a seat on my tongue. Worried I'd haunt you for real? His mouth tilts. I already do. He stands, finally letting himself close the distance. One step, two, and then he stops. Because the stopping is a promise I didn't ask for and he gives anyway. Sleep, he says. I'll be here when you open your eyes. You can't be everywhere, I murmur, already sinking, the pain medicine smoothing corners. No, he says, and it's almost a smile, almost a vow, just where you insist on crashing. As the dark rises, I think I feel the faintest hum in the air, my smoke. Trying to find purchase, his mark answering with the softest flicker. Illusion or not, it traces the outline of a truth my body knew on the road. And my mind is still avoiding. The most dangerous direction isn't away. It's toward. Morning climbs the glass like a careful animal, all pale paws and quiet breath. Leo's penthouse is suspended in the sort of silence money buys, soundproofed sky. Carpets that swallow footsteps, coffee that tastes like a contract fulfilled. The city sprawls beneath us, bruised and bright, steam lifting from its vents as if it's practicing being a ghost. I wake in a bed, big enough to stage a car chase. The sheets smell like soap and some expensive absinthe. My own scent threads through, smoke thinned by hospital air and rain. Bruises narrate my body in dark grammar. The ache is a low tide, there, insistent, not dragging me under. Somewhere past the doorway, I hear a machine hiss and click. The scent of coffee arrives first, rich, bitter, adult. I follow it like a responsible citizen. Leo stands in the kitchen, sleeves rolled, tie abandoned on the counter like a truce flag. Morning softens him the way a dimmer softens a room. The edges are still edges, but they glow instead of cut. He hands me a mug without asking how I take it, which would annoy me more if he weren't right. Cream, no sugar. I'm predictable in 3 things. Trouble, exits, coffee. You snore, I say after the first sip. My voice is husky enough to pretend it's on purpose. I'm an alpha, he answers, perfectly straight. It's a warning. I huff, then choke on an accidental laugh. Of what? Inclement weather? Of commitment to airflow, he says. So dry the cup almost squeaks in my hand. The corner of his mouth admits to humor for half a second, then denies it. We orbit the island like planets that have finally agreed on a speed. The quiet is not empty. It's full of truce. I put my palm flat on the cool stone and feel the tiny tremor under my skin that happens when I'm calm and refusing to admit it. No racing today, he says. Doctor's orders? Or dictators? Yours, he says, and the word fits the room the way my name fit his mouth on the highway. You decide when you drive again. You hate that. I respect it. A beat. And I hate it. We sink into a rhythm neither of us practiced. Coffee, small talk stitched to big pauses, me sitting on the back of the sofa with my feet on the cushion like a delinquent, him reading a document and not reading it at all. The city carries on doing its long, loud sentences. Sunlight gets brave and makes it to the floor. You stare, I say at one point, not looking up from my phone, which is absolutely not showing me a blank home screen because my life is currently an untexted thing. I verify, he replies, that I exist? That you're still here? Something in my chest unclenches so fast I hear it. I hide it in a sip. We learn each other's quiet noises. My bones click in my right wrist when I twist a mug. His breath hitches, not desire, not yet, when I tilt my head just so because it exposes the place on my neck where wolves always want to put their stories. We trade lazy insults like kids swap stickers. Your taste in furniture is criminal, I say. You sleep in it like it's a confession, he says. By noon, the penthouse feels almost like a place people live in. The mark at his throat has been calm all morning. No flicker, no ghosting glow. My smoke stays polite, barely a whisper off my skin. It would be easy to believe we are ordinary men. Extraordinary only in our capacity for sarcasm. The doorbell rings. Leo doesn't tense. He never does. Not visibly. But the air in him reorders. Stay, he says softly. A habit, not a command. I don't do tricks, I whisper back, already padding down the hall on bare, bruised feet. He lets me stand to the side as he opens the door. Mira is framed by sky, city, inevitability, camera slung cross-body, cigarette tucked behind one ear like punctuation, gaze like a scalpel. She smells like ink and rain and a courtroom. Nice nest, she says, stepping past Leo without waiting for an invitation. Because invitations are a species she doesn't acknowledge. Her eyes find me and hold. You look alive. Working on it, I say. Then remember I'm wearing one of Leo's soft shirts, sleeves rolled twice, collar careless. The look flicks between us and makes an inference. Coffee, Leo offers, because manners are a weapon if you sharpen them. No, Mira says. Truth. Silence performs a brief, flawless solo. She sets the camera down on the counter with the gentleness you give someone else's kid. Tal, she says, and the way she says my name prepares me to lose something. Your enemies are not subtle. They hired me to follow you. They didn't know I'd recognize him. A glance at Leo. Not unkind, not kind. I'm not here for them. Then for who? I ask, even though I know because people like answers in the shape of other people's mouths. For the part of you that forgets you wanted this before you wanted him. She taps a file onto the counter. Photos, memos, half-redacted nonsense that hums with the certainty of power. You've been working with a group whose endgame is taking the Silver Roads down. You sent me leads. You asked me to dig. You planned to burn their vault and watch the smoke spell your name. I put the mug down because my hand shakes. I'm aware of my plans. She doesn't flinch. Is he? The question is a scalpel that thinks it's a caress. I look at Leo. He is not a statue. He is a calculation arriving at itself. His scent tightens, mint narrowing, metal refining. But there's no anger. Only deliberate quiet. Have you ever told me the truth? He asks, voice low and precise, as if weighing a heart in his palm, about anything that mattered. 100 answers spool up, bright and useless. I pick none. My silence stands beside me like a Xio conspirator who forgot the signal. Mira's gaze softens a fraction. I'll go, she says, gathering the camera, the cigarette, the rain. You two can decide whether your marks are ink or anesthesia. She leaves a door-shaped absence. The room breathes and fails. The city keeps performing existence below us, loud with traffic and trying. Leo doesn't move. He just looks at me with that winter patience that used to make me want to run until my lungs begged for mercy. Now it makes me want to take my own measure. He's not asking for surrender. He's asking for context. I cannot give it. I do what I am best at. When the road turns to questions, I find an exit crafted from air. I need wind, I say, and it isn't a lie. Walls make me theatrical. He nods once. Top. The door is heavy. The stairwell concrete. The sky is the same color as confession. Rain starts as a rumor and upgrades to a statement while I cross the slick expanse to the edge. The city is a circuit board blurred by weather. Neon bleeds from signs into puddles and keeps bleeding. I lean into the rail and let the water write its name on my skin. The first breath that fills me hurts in the clean way. Oxygen is sandpaper, smoothing something raw. My smoke rises, relieved to be where it can behave badly, curling lupine in the wind, ears pricked toward storms. Love isn't a break, I think, watching a ferry cut the gray. It's just another risk with better advertising. Footsteps behind me, not hurried, not hesitant. The particular cadence of a man who doesn't rush the inevitable because he intends to arrive there anyway. I should have told you, I say before he reaches me, words already wet. I should have said the plan out loud and let you hate it or fix it or throw me off this building. I wouldn't throw you off, he says, stopping at my shoulder, close enough that mint warms the rain. I'd jump with you. Very romantic, I say, because humor is my airbag. Two idiots swan diving into the legal system. He studies my profile like it's a map that might finally explain the terrain. I am not angry, he says, and the knot is real enough to lean on. I'm recalibrating. To what? The part where I burned down your inheritance? To the part where I was going to burn it first. It lands gently, like a heavy thing put down with care. You thought I wouldn't notice which streets bought themselves, which judges sold, which racers disappeared. I turn. Rain purls on his lashes and doesn't dare fall. You were going to end it? Yes, he says simply. But I wanted to build the replacement before I tore out the rot. You wanted to tear out the rot and improvise the rest on the way down. My brand, I say. Chaos, but make it ethical. He steps closer, the world narrowing to mint, metal, rain. Tal, The way he says my name is the new thing I belong to that isn't a cage. I will break anything I have to, he says, steady as a metronome set to truth. To make you stop hiding from me. From this, wind lifts, and with it, the part of me that always keeps its distance leans in. My pheromones leap like a struck match, smoke flaring bright enough to be seen even in rain. It swirls around us, eager, recognizing. The silver beneath his skin answers. No shy flicker this time, no ghost. It flares, a clean arc of light like a brand catching light from inside. The air snaps, felt more than heard, as our scents lock. It's not the false accident of fire and fear. It's intent. The mark isn't an illusion now. It climbs the space between us and draws a shape that looks like a door opening. Heat hums through my throat, down my sternum, lower. The wolf under my skin lifts its head and does not bare its teeth. My body does the reckless thing and moves closer to danger that doesn't feel like danger. His hand comes up, brief and sure, fingers just mouse-clicking the edge of my jaw. Permission asked, permission given. The kiss doesn't happen. It hovers, charged, as if we're letting the mark itself finish a sentence we've been talking around since the first night. Say it, I whisper, because the truth wants a mouth. He doesn't make it pretty. I choose you, he says, over the roads, over the script I inherited, over a future where I am careful with nothing but ghosts. My laugh is small and surgical and bleeds less than it could. That's impractical. It's inevitable. The mark throbs once, answering us and itself. Rain softens, like the sky is eavesdropping politely. Down on the street, a siren passes and keeps going, uninterested in consensual arson. Love is not a break. It's the courage to drive the road you kept pretending was a map to somewhere else. I put my palm flat on his chest, right above the quiet animal of his heart. Then we do it, I say, the decision slotting into me like a gear finding its tooth. We tear it down clean. No more lies. Not to you, not to yourself, he corrects. Ambitious, I say. And this time when I lean in, we let the distance close. The kiss is warm and deliberate, not a cut, but a seal. The mark hums, approving like a judge with a sense of theater. When we break, it's not breaking. It's pausing. I'll handle the vault, I tell him, breath fogging between us. You handle the men who think they own the roads. He nods. And the judges, and the racers who disappeared, all of them, he says. Or none of this means anything. I look over the city that made and unmade me. Neon smears. Steam lifts. Somewhere a starting flag exists for no good reason. I'm not running. I'm picking a direction. Deal, I say. Deal, he echoes, and his hand stays at my jaw like a promise with fingers. Behind my ribs, something that has been idling finally engages. The part of me that never believed marks could be anything but myth feels the heat and doesn't call it a lie. Sometimes fire is the only honest language. We stand in it without burning. The Silver Road's nerve center pretends to be a parking garage, the kind that eats cars and returns them cleaner. Below the painted arrows and polite signage, there's a second skin, glass-walled corridors, badge readers with impeccable manners, server rooms lit like aquariums where neon swims in racks and cables pulse with money. The building smells like Freon and careful lies. I'm in a stolen jumpsuit that fits like a dare. Leo walks beside me in a suit that could sign treaties. On his lanyard hangs a badge with authority baked in. Anyone who sees us assumes I belong to him. They're wrong in useful ways. Kai's voice murmurs in my ear, from a van 2 blocks over. Security schedule's accurate. You've got a 6-minute blind spot on the West cameras starting now. Keys clack, caffeine fizzes. Also, I'd like a pizza after. Something circular as a symbol of closure. You'll get a circle, I whisper, but it's probably going to be a police perimeter. Romantic, he says. Ready when you are, lovebirds. Mira trails us at a distance in the hushed shoes of a woman who could outpace panic. Her camera dangles like a question mark. She's not here for them. She's here for the part of the story that will be used as evidence when the city tries to deny knowing itself. We pass a lobby that is more sculpture than space. The receptionist doesn't look up. The elevator hums like an old confession being repurposed. Leo's scent is crisp and bracing. the mint sharpened to a scalpel, the silver mark under. His collar hums the same note mine does, a frequency the building hasn't heard before. When the doors close, the mirrored walls give us back to ourselves. Predator and provocation, winter and smoke. He doesn't touch me. He doesn't need to. Every breath we share is a consensus mechanism. Last chance to change your mind, he says, eyes on the floor numbers ascending. I did, I say, watching our reflections stutter, 6 times. It didn't stick. He almost smiles. Good. The server floor opens like a sanctum. Cold air mouths my cheeks. The racks whisper in green and blue. A single security guard sits at a desk, bored into a permanent state. He stands when he sees Leo, the reflex of someone who knows where power lives and pays rent. Mr. Vale, he begins, and then his gaze skates to me, catalogs, dismisses. Leo's voice is the temperature of a legal document. We've had anomalies in the routing tables. I'm doing a spot check. The guard nods, relieved to have a noun. He buzzes us through. The door clicks. Our marks hum harder, like they approve of doors that open when we want them to. Kai breathes in my ear. You're in the cage. 2 rows left, 3rd cabinet, the one with the petty little lock that thinks it's mysterious. I find it by instinct, or by the way certain metals turn my fingertips into tuning forks. Leo stands to block the camera that pretends not to be watching. He's not nervous. He's orchestrating. He angles his body in a way that makes the room his. I kneel. The lock greets me with a small tantrum before yielding to the pick. The cabinet opens like a mouth. Inside, a heart. Drives like vertebrae. A tangle of labeled veins. Kai whistles. Hello, secrets. All right, Tal, top row left pole swap for the dummy I gave you. It'll mirror the live right. We let them confess into our pocket. I work, and the plan becomes a rhythm the way driving becomes a prayer. My hands don't shake. They remember what matters and steady up. Leo's shadow leans over the table of cables like a loyal knight. Mira appears at the glass, raises her camera. The shutter is quiet. Complicit. She mouths, 2 minutes. On my mark, Kai says. 3, 2, now. I seat the last drive. The dummy links, voracious and polite. Code crawls into code and puts on its clothes. The mirror begins to drink. Transactions, routes, names, dates, substitutions, the muscle. Memory of a clan that learned to own a city by labeling theft as maintenance. Beautiful, Kai murmurs. Okay. Phase 2. Poison pill. Leo glances down, and the corner of his mouth betrays the faintest approval, not of the trick but of my speed. 30 seconds, he says without moving his lips. My father is on this floor. The admission is not nerves. It is a weather report. It changes my posture anyway. I keep my face mild and my hands swift. The poison pill is a small program with very good manners. It waits until the mirror is full, then tells the original to forget things it should not have remembered. Not deletion, corruption. The numbers will still add. They will only add to 0. Okay, Kai says. And now he's smiling with his whole voice. They're blind in all the ways you want. Begin your dramatic exit. We turn and walk into winter. The man at the end of the aisle is everything Leo could have been if he had chosen stone over weather. Gray hair cut to an argument, coat that cost somebody's scholarship, eyes that weigh in price. He smells like old power and a brand of smoke I hate. The kind people blow after burning someone else's house down. Father, Leo says. His voice walks a knife's edge. Respect like a sheath for contempt. The mark at his throat settles, not dim, not flaring, waiting. Son. The older man doesn't bother with the rest of me. I'm a category he assumed was extinct. You're early. For my inheritance. Leo's smile is a memory of fangs. I'm late. They stand a measured distance apart, 2 sides of an equation that doesn't love solutions. Behind the glass, Mira lifts her camera. The guard outside glances our way and then doesn't. The servers continue their aquatic sighing. You betrayed blood, the old man says. A simple sentence loaded like a gun. No, Leo replies, quiet enough to force the room closer. I only chose whom to give it to. Something moves in the air. Nothing visible, a realignment in the gut. The father blinks, surprised by the shape of the answer more than the answer. He takes a step forward, and the smell of him thickens. Legacy, the expensive rot of institutions, hunger disguised as rules. You think you can give what is ours to take? He asks. You think love is a currency here? Leo doesn't flinch. I think the roads were built to move people. I'm choosing where they go. The man looks at me then, properly, perhaps for the first time. The cataloging is slower, less dismissive. He notes the smoke at my collarbone, the way my body angles toward Leo without touching. He notes the mark he cannot see but feels anyway, the way your bones feel storms coming. An omega, he says, and tries to make it a diminishment. A driver, I correct, pleasantly. And the one about to turn your vault into confetti. He smiles, the way a trap does. You think you can break the roads? No, I say, and the truth tastes clean. We already did. As if cued by honesty, the sirens start far below, curious at first, then convinced. The overhead lights hiccup. On the far wall, a row of monitors stutters into new images. Routes gone blank, accounts pancaking into zeros, ownership chains dissolving like sugar in rain. An entire infrastructure remembering it was made up. Oops, Kai says in my ear, delighted. Someone tripped on the cord. The old man turns, not to stop it, too late, but to understand how it could have happened in a room he built to be inevitable. He looks old for one breath. Then he looks like the version of old that will bite. Arrest them, he says into the air, and security arrives like a thought that arrived before it was welcome. What happens next is choreography we didn't rehearse because we wouldn't have liked the ending. We move anyway. The first guard hesitates at Leo's raised hand. Recognition of rank is a muscle that takes time to atrophy. The second reaches, and I am smoke in the shape of a person sliding past his grasp. Leo doesn't hit anyone. He opens doors with words. That's a violence too. Document it, he tells Mira as we pass, and she does, camera catching. Not just faces, but the moment an empire realizes its reflection is gone. We take the back corridor, where the floor is bare concrete, and the lights flicker in perfect terror cliches. The stairwell yawns, and we descend into fire alarms and the city's sharp breath. Somewhere above, a generator coughs awake. Somewhere outside, an ambulance chooses not to enter this particular story. The lobby is chaos performed by professionals. We walk through it like we rehearsed. Fast, confident, plausibly authorized. A guard moves to block. Leo gives him the kind of look you give an underling. You'll remember fondly after he finds a better job elsewhere. The guard slows. He does not step aside. He simply forgets to be in the way. Outside, the night is almost over. The horizon stains itself palest blue. Rain lingers, indecisive. We run, not because anyone is behind us, plenty are, but because running together is a language we finally share. My hand finds Leo's, not as surrender but as strategy. It completes a circuit, and something in the air hums approval. We don't look back. There's nothing there we want. The building we choose for a roof is one we've always chosen. Old brick, honest tar, a view like forgiveness. Dawn climbs the city in careful increments, and the wind is young again, curious. Steam lifts from vents in soft sighs. Somewhere below, the silver roads are remembering how to be streets. We stand at the edge, shoulder to shoulder. The mark under Leo's skin glows faintly, a silver syllable only I can read. My smoke rises, gentle, accepting, as if the wolf in me has finally found something more interesting than escape. You knew I wouldn't stop, I say into the light. I only wanted you to breathe next to me, he answers, and it's not poetry, so it works. Tall, Kai yells from the stairwell, like a fire alarm learned humor. He bursts onto the roof carrying 3 paper cups and the expression of someone who just won a quiet war on a keyboard. Congrats, you're officially a pair of criminals. Partners, I correct, taking a coffee that tastes like triumph translated into caffeine. Although sometimes I confuse those words. Mira emerges behind him, hair damp, eyes bright. She doesn't lift the camera. She just looks at us like evidence and story have agreed to share a name. Below, sirens ricochet, but no one is climbing these stairs yet. The city needs a minute to choose a narrative. Leo's hand finds the back of my neck and rests there. No claim, no leash, just a place. We don't kiss. We don't need to. Not to complete the shape. What now? Kai asks. Because chaos hates a lull. We build, Leo says. We drive, I say. Both. Mira amends, because she refuses false choices. And we document. We fall silent in the easy way of people who have made a decision and now have to live long enough to implement it. The sun takes the last of the night by the chin and tips it back. The city blinks, bleary and new. I breathe him in. Metal, mint, the ghost of a winter that learned how to thaw. He breathes me in. Smoke and rain, and the road that led us to a roof where dawn doesn't have to apologize for arriving. Sometimes the finish line is a door. Sometimes it's a hand you choose to take. Sometimes it's both. Sometimes smoke isn't from a fire, it's from a heart finally starting to work.